On an ordinary day, Yuki was on a train, immersed in her thoughts, when a tourist approached her, asking for directions. Anxiety gripped Yuki for a moment, weakening her ability to understand and respond. A young man with silver hair walked toward them and helped the tourist. Staring at him, Yuki realized that he was a fellow member of their cultural exchange club in the university she goes to. As she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, she revealed her hearing aids. Though she initially attempted sign language, she resorted to writing a thank you note on her phone to this guy when communication failed. He asked her if she could read his lips, to which Yuki admitted she could, only a little. Their brief conversation revealed their shared club affiliation. Then he left at his station, leaving Yuki to continue her ride. Yuki, brimming with excitement, asked her friend Rin who this guy was, and that is how she figured out he is Itsuomi Nagi. And he works in a bar with his cousin Kyoya, who Rin happens to have a crush on. Rin suggested visiting the bar to enjoy her friend's company. When the two girls entered the bar, Yuki stared at Itsuomi with admiration and kept watching him throughout the night. A group of tourists walked into the bar, and one of them planted a kiss on Itsuomi's cheek, leading to jealousy and uncertainty clouding Yuki's mind. She tried to reassure herself that it was merely a cultural greeting. As Yuki watched Rin exchange numbers with her crush, the idea of doing the same with Itsuomi crossed her mind, though she hesitated due to not wanting to appear too forward. As Yuki and Rin stood at the bar's entrance, Itsuomi told Rin if she wants, he could walk her home since he has just finished his shift. Excitedly, Rin told him that she lives nearby already, but he couldn't walk Yuki home instead, and encouraged Yuki to use her chance to get the guy. Under the snowy night sky, Yuki followed slightly behind as they walked, lost in her thoughts. Suddenly, a motorcycle whizzed dangerously close to her. Itsuomi swiftly pulled her close, saving her from harm. The touch of his hand in hers made a warmth spread through her body. She turned to him and, with a note on her phone, asked for his number. He agreed. Yuki could not help but question how big Itsuomi perceived the world to be. His response was that it was a big world and he wants to be a part of her world. Yuki sat with her friend Rin and shared that she had asked for Itsuomi-san's number and that being around him made her feel nervous. As they talked, Yuki noticed Itsuomi talking with a few pretty and foreign girls at another table. When he was about to leave, Rin called out his name. As Itsuomi turned, he saw Yuki standing and waving at him. They walked towards each other and she tried to maintain eye contact. Through their communication, he mentioned he was traveling to a place named Lao. During his trip, Itsuomi sent Yuki pictures of his adventures. She admired the photos, swiping through her phone, and texted him to say how good they looked. Itsuomi replied, saying he was coming back and would see her at the university the next day. The following morning, Yuki saw him across the street and waved. Itsuomi signed "Good morning" to her. As he was looking through his bag, he asked her to put out her hand. When she did, he placed a souvenir he brought her from Lao in it. Yuki smiled and wrote a note on her phone thanking him for the gift. That night, she was in her bed holding the souvenir and smiling. The next day, Yuki spotted Rin chatting with a few girls and decided not to interrupt, opting to wait around the corner. Her childhood friend appeared and asked what she was doing. Yuki explained she was waiting for Rin. Just then, Itsuomi walked by, stopping to pat her head and continuing on his way. Yuki kept staring at him and her childhood friend snapped her out of it and told her to not get carried away with the situation. Determined to help Itsuomi learn sign language, Yuki decided to create a sign language guide for him. That evening, she and Rin went to the same bar, where Yuki gave Itsuomi the journal she had made. He found the drawings hard to follow and asked if she could teach him in person instead. She gladly agreed and taught him a few signs she used very often. Their lesson was interrupted when two people who happened to be Itsuomi's friends stumbled into the bar, clearly drunk. Itsuomi directed them to sit elsewhere, and then one of the girls grabbed his arm. Yuki felt sad and wanted to know who the girl was. Itsuomi's cousin informed Yuki and Rin that the girl's name was Ima, and that she and Itsuomi were just friends, not dating. Before leaving, Itsuomi advised Yuki to be careful on her way home. Later, Yuki texted Itsuomi, asking if he was around. He replied that he was at the laundromat and invited her to meet him. On her way, she encountered her childhood friend who questioned where she was going. He warned her about meeting Itsuomi alone at night, suggesting he might be playing with her feelings. Yuki firmly asked him not to speak about Itsuomi in a bad way. Upon arriving at the destination, Yuki and Itsuomi sat on a bench. He bought her and himself a drink. He gave her a coin of a foreign currency and promised to give her more if she was interested. He asked if she wanted to get to know him better, and Yuki expressed her desire to go closer to him, and Itsuomi responded by holding her hands. As they walked, Yuki messaged him to ask about Emma. Itsuomi assured her that Emma was just a friend, and that he does not have a girlfriend. He then asked about the guy he saw her talking to in sign language at the university, and Yuki explained that he was her childhood friend Oishi. Returning home, Itsuomi found Emma waiting at his door. She asked to stay over, and he agreed. However, when Emma tried to get close to him, Itsuomi rejected her advances and left her alone in his house. Yuki and Itsuomi promised to hang out again. Rin invited Yuki to join her and Itsuomi for a shopping trip with Kyoya. Excited, Yuki asked Itsuomi if they could go with them, and he agreed. She got ready, putting effort into looking her best. At the train station, Yuki ran into her childhood friend, Oishi. When he asked where she was going, she lied, saying she was going to the library. Oishi did not believe her and sat next to her, laying his head on her shoulder. Yuki gently pushed him off, telling him he was heavy. Meanwhile, Itsuomi texted her, telling her that he was waiting outside by the gates. As Yuki got off the train, Oishi followed her. Amid the crowd, she was accidentally pushed. But before she could fall, Itsuomi caught her with his arm. Oishi signed to Yuki, asking if this was all because she was meeting Itsuomi. She turned away to avoid further confrontation. Itsuomi then positioned his arm to block Oishi from her view and reading his lips. Oishi yelled at Itsuomi, telling him not to approach her from behind and not to block her view. Itsuomi calmly replied that Yuki had said it was fine because it was him. Oishi was fuming with anger. Yuki waved at Itsuomi to grasp his attention. He looked at her and they walked away together. They approached the car where Kyoya and Rin were waiting, holding hands. While shopping, Itsuomi gave Yuki a tiramisu, making her smile. As they continued shopping, Itsuomi asked Yuki if she had ever been overseas. She admitted that she had not. He then told her that the next time he travels, he would take her with him. Itsuomi advised Rin to tell Kyoya that she wanted to go on a drive on the way back as a first step to get closer to him and spark his interest. Rin followed his advice, leaving the two alone. Itsuomi then suggested to Yuki that they leave their bags with Kyoya and Rin and take the train back instead. Yuki asked if they could go to dinner together. Itsuomi replied that they could have dinner another time, but invited her to eat at his place instead. Yuki agreed. In the living room, Yuki and Itsuomi were sitting together. He asked if she had fun, and she agreed. He told her he had fun too. Sitting close to her, Itsuomi put his arm around her shoulder. Yuki thought he was about to hug her, but he was actually reaching for his phone. He typed a message explaining that being with her feels comfortable. He then showed her the pictures of his family and shared that he went on a working holiday and that he is 3 years older than her. When Yuki asked about his family, he told her they were in Germany and that he used to live there too. He asked her if her family used sign language, and she told him that they do not. They used phone gestures or spoke out loud instead. He asked if she did the same, and she informed him that she only used her voice with her family. Itsuomi then left for a bit and then came back into the living room and gave her coins and money papers of different currencies, just as he had promised. He put on a mask, which scared her for a moment. Once realization hit her, she started laughing out loud. Itsuomi was staring at her, and when she realized what occurred, she stopped laughing and put her fingers over her lips. Yuki was staring at the journal, rereading the notes they both wrote to each other with wide, glowing eyes. Itsuomi took the chance and started tickling her stomach, wanting to make her laugh again. She gestured to ask if her laugh was weird, and he responded that it was not at all. It was adorable. He asked her to tell him more about herself, promising to share things about himself, too. He then asked if his questions were awkward, and she told him that it was fine. He held her hand and she traced the word everything on his palm, letter by letter. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door, indicating a visitor. Yuki got up to leave and Itsuomi offered to walk her home. When they opened the door, it was Emma standing there. Itsuomi told Yuki to go down first, promising to follow. As Yuki waited by the elevator, Emma loudly thanked Itsuomi for letting her stay the other night, clearly wanting Yuki to hear. However, since Yuki could not hear her, she did not react. Itsuomi told Emma that she did not even stay the night and asked for the key back. Emma handed it to him and Yuki saw this exchange. She got into the elevator thinking they were probably dating. Outside, Yuki pulled out her phone to text Itsuomi and check if he was still walking her home. She found a text from him asking if they could meet the following day, to which she agreed. While she was waiting, she saw Emma smiling and holding Itsuomi's arm as they walked together. So she started running away with a frown on her face. On the other hand, Itsuomi pushed Emma's arm away and received a text from Yuki saying she was going home. He quickly said goodbye to Emma and started running in hope to catch up with Yuki. The following day, Itsuomi stood in front of Yuki and explained that he had contacted Rin the previous night because he sensed something was upsetting her. He suggested they could continue from where they had left off. However, Yuki stopped him and asked him why he was learning sign language. He told her that he wanted to be able to communicate with her. Then he gently took her hand and planted a kiss on it. Yuki knelt down to the ground, feeling overwhelmed, and Itsuomi held her gently. She grew nervous and began searching for her phone, then turned away from him. He texted her, asking if she was all right or feeling lightheaded. She replied that she was fine. He told her that if she was truly fine, she should look his way. When she turned, she found him standing very close to her. Yuki asked if he understood her signs, and he said yes. He mentioned knowing that Rin often visited the bar to see Kyoya, and then asked if Yuki was coming to the bar often to see him. She stared at the text and signed, "I love you," to him, but then realized he was talking on the phone and did not see her sign. Itsuomi shared that he would be traveling and would return during the spring break, which was in about a month. He asked her to send him sign language videos while he was away and promised that once he was back, he would make sure to spend time together. As Itsuomi was sharing with his cousin that he likes Yuki, Yuki and Rin entered the bar close to the closing time. Itsuomi asked Yuki if she had a curfew, to which Rin replied they were having a sleepover, so that does not matter. He put his hands on Yuki's shoulders, pulling her closer, and asked Rin if he could borrow her. Outside the bar, Yuki told Itsuomi that she and Rin would be spending the night together and asked if they were bothering him and Kyoya by showing up at the bar. He reassured her that they were not. Then he coughed and sneezed, prompting Yuki to offer him her scarf to warm up. Instead, he wrapped the scarf around her, saying he had not expected to see her again before his trip. Itsuomi confessed that he had planned to wait until after his trip to tell her something, but he decided to tell her now and sign it to her. Facing her, he signed that he thought they made a good couple because he really enjoyed going out with her. He admitted he hadn't seen this coming, given how much he travels, but wherever he is, he wishes she were there too. Yuki looked at him in admiration, wiping a tear from her eye. He told her that he wanted her and held her hands, making her nod. He promised to learn more sign language, and they smiled at each other. They entered the bar with his arm around her shoulders. Rin and Kyoya were shocked and asked why Itsuomi was holding her like that. Itsuomi announced that they are dating, leaving Rin and Kyoya in disbelief. He reminded Rin that Yuki had a curfew, but Rin argued that Yuki was staying at her house that night. Itsuomi explained that Yuki's parents did not know she was out, so he could walk her to Rin's house, suggesting that Rin could stay at the bar with Kyoya. Rin handed him the keys of her house, mentioning that Yuki had seen Emma give him the key the other night and was upset about it, so he should keep that in mind. As they walked, Itsuomi texted Yuki, assuring her not to worry about Emma giving him the key. He explained that he sometimes let Emma borrow his apartment, but promised he would not do it anymore. He glanced back at Yuki as she looked at her phone and saw a text from Oishi. Upon reaching Rin's house, Yuki thanked Itsuomi for walking her home and wished him a safe trip. He asked her if she had a passport, and when she said no, but expressed a desire to go overseas, he told her to get one so he could take her with him. He walked away and then turned back. As she was walking up the stairs, he called out her name. When she opened the door, he placed his hand on it, closing it shut, and hugged her from behind, resting his chin on her head. She placed her hands on his arms, looked at him, and he smiled at her. Itsuomi left on his trip, and Yuki began searching for a job to save money so that she can travel with Itsuomi-san, but she kept facing rejections due to her hearing disability. During this time, Yuki ran into Oshi and his sister, Mio. Mio, who had forgotten most of her sign language, asked her brother to interpret for her when talking to Yuki. It was then that Mio realized her brother had feelings for Yuki. After Mio left, Oshi confronted Yuki, asking if she was frequently staying over with Itsuomi. She assured him she wasn't. Throughout his trip, Itsuomi continued to send pictures to Yuki, keeping her updated on his adventures. After a month, he texted Yuki to ask where she was and informed her that he was back from his trip. Overjoyed, Yuki got off the train and started running, telling him she was near the college. He suggested they meet halfway. When she arrived, they were standing across from each other on opposite sides of a train track. She waved at him and he mouthed if he could hug her. She nodded in agreement. A train passed by, briefly cutting off their view. After the train left, he walked towards her. She gestured for him to sit down, then stood in front of him, closed her eyes, and opened her arms wide, waiting for his hug. Instead, he leaned in for a kiss, making her blush. That is when she realized that she misspelled the sign for kiss and read it as hug. He then mentioned that he wanted to eat Japanese food, and they started walking to a restaurant. At the restaurant, they ordered food and Itsuomi paid for it. He asked Yuki if she would like to meet his friend Shin, who had come to the bar drunk with Emma the other night. Yuki expressed her hesitation, feeling a bit scared, but didn't admit it because of her hearing problem. Itsuomi reassured her, saying they would hold hands, and if she felt uncomfortable, she could give him a gentle squeeze and he would understand. They arrived at Shin's house, and when Shin opened the door, Itsuomi introduced Yuki as his girlfriend. They entered Shin's house, and Yuki was looking at his CD collection. Shin asked Itsuomi if his girlfriend listens to any kind of music, to which he replied that she does not hear. Shin asked him how they both communicate, and Itsuomi mentioned that she can read his lips or through phone messages, and lately they have been using sign language. Itsuomi gave his hand to Yuki, and she placed her hand in his. He then looked at her in admiration with a smile on his face. Shin asked Yuki if she was in love with Itsuomi, and she looked at her boyfriend and signed to him that she loves him. Itsuomi placed his other hand on top of hers and patted it. Shin told Itsuomi that he would tell Emma about having a girlfriend because she would not take the news well from Itsuomi. After they left, Itsuomi asked Yuki if she was nervous back there and teased her about whether she had misspelled the sign for kiss and thought he meant hug when they were by the train track, to which she blushed. He told her that when he will kiss her again, he would give her a signal, which is placing his hand on her cheek, placing his forehead on hers, and stroking her cheek. Then he pulled away. He told her that if she wants to kiss him, she could pinch him. While Rin and Yuki were sitting on a bench at the university, Itsuomi showed up and gave Yuki a hug from behind. Rin commented that it had been so long since they all hung out together with Kyoya. She told Itsuomi that he had gotten better at signing and mentioned that she wants to learn, but thinks she will not do well at it. Yuki reassured her that she would be good. Itsuomi suggested to Yuki that they could invite Kyoya and all go somewhere to do a sign language boot camp. They all got into the car with Itsuomi driving. As they started the journey, they played a game where each person shared their wishes. Itsuomi said he wished to sail off overseas with his girlfriend. Rin wrote this down for Yuki, making her blush, but then she frowned, remembering she still had not made money to travel yet. When they arrived at their destination by the river, Itsuomi yelled that they should all start learning sign language. They began learning signs for various words such as mountain and rock. Kyoya told them to wash their hands and then grab some food he had made. Itsuomi fed Yuki and smiled at her. Later, Yuki and Itsuomi were walking in the river when Yuki winced because the water was cold. Itsuomi lifted her up in his arms and jokingly said he would fall, making her cling to him as he laughed. They sat at the tent, and Itsuomi held her footing, noting that she was freezing cold. He asked if something was bothering her, and she told him she had not been able to get a job, but a friend had a lead, which was why she kept checking her phone. He asked if his wish that he mentioned during their drive had put pressure on her. She replied with no, saying she was looking forward to it. He crossed his arms on her knees, laid his head on them, and then asked what she wanted to do later. She almost fell back, but he held her, wrapping his arms around her and pulling her close. He asked if she has to go home at night, saying he didn't want her to. He then pinched her cheek. Rin and Kyoya returned, informing them that Rin had sprained her ankle, so they would have to go to the hospital. Rin and Kyoya dropped the couple off, and Itsuomi asked Yuki if she wanted to finish the boot camp alone with him, to which she agreed. They both headed to his house. He freshened up and gave her a towel in case she wanted to freshen up. He took off his shirt and told her he had to shower. She kept staring at him and feeling nervous. She borrowed one of his hoodies. Itsuomi saw Yuki's phone ringing and noticed Oishi was calling her. He stared at the phone for a moment before handing it to her. She saw the notification from Oishi and he asked if she was okay, offering his help if needed. He invited her into his room and they sat on the bed. He offered her some popcorn and suggested a movie night, asking her what she wanted to watch and promising to turn on subtitles so they could watch together. He turned the sound off and said that he wants to experience watching the movie the way she does. During the movie, her phone buzzed again. He handed it to her. It was her friend, video calling her to tell her that a job opportunity might be coming her way, as her aunt needed help in the kitchen. As they watched the movie, Itsuomi started kissing her hand and arm, then moved closer to her and kissed her. He reassured her, saying not to be afraid and that she was safe in his arms. They slept in separate beds, but Yuki could not sleep. Itsuomi told her she was important to him and that he wanted to treat her right. The next day, Itsuomi crossed paths with Oishi. Oishi confronted him, asking what he was trying to do. Itsuomi told him they needed to talk eventually. They both sat in the cultural exchange club room. Oishi asked what he wanted to talk about, and Itsuomi started asking Oishi about himself, his likes and dislikes. Oishi responded that he hated him, and Itsuomi asked what made him feel that way. Itsuomi then confronted Oishi, telling him he knew he was in love with Yuki too. Oishi claimed he was just worried about her and tried to walk away, but Itsuomi followed. Itsuomi told Oishi to meet him at the campus gate by 7, promising to do whatever he wanted if he does show up. They both went to the bar, where Itsuomi introduced Oishi to his cousin. They started talking and getting to know each other over a drink. Oishi walked out of the bar, barely able to walk, and Itsuomi tried to help him, but Oishi rejected the offer. Oishi then told Itsuomi that he wanted him to break up with Yuki, but Itsuomi firmly replied that there was no way he would do that. Oishi started crying, realizing that he could not have Yuki. Itsuomi patted his head, and Oishi told him that if he ever makes her cry, he would find her and take her away. Rin and Yuki were sitting on a bench at university when Itsuomi arrived and overheard Rin asking Yuki about what Itsuomi had said when he asked her to be with him. When Yuki realized he was there, she got shy and turned the opposite way, and Itsuomi started teasing Rin about being noisy and about the progress she had made with Kyoya. Rin then walked away, leaving the couple alone. Itsuomi asked Yuki if she was nervous about the job interview she had. He then taught her a German gesture used to encourage someone. Holding her hands, he wished her good luck. However, she pulled her hands away when she noticed people around, but Itsuomi pulled her hands back and told her that the people being around did not matter. The job interview went great, and Yuki got the job. Later, Yuki went to a shop, and a man working there suggested helping her, but Yuki could not understand anything he was saying because he was wearing a mask. Out of nowhere, Oishi appeared to help her, interpreting what the man was saying. Oishi told Yuki he could go with her to shop any time to make sure everything goes smoothly. She then told Yuki that if Itsuomi ever hurts her, she should inform him and he would take care of it. When Yuki signed explaining that Itsuomi is a good guy, Oishi held her hand, stopping her from signing, and asked her to stop praising Itsuomi. A few days later, Yuki started working. One night, Itsuomi asked Yuki if she was still awake, and she replied, yes. He told her to give him a few minutes and then texted her that he was outside. Walking out to her balcony, she saw Itsuomi standing in the street. She signed, asking him what he was doing there. She told him she would come downstairs, but he told her he was leaving, and started walking away. However, he soon heard footsteps and turned around to see her running toward him. She almost tripped and fell over. She signed to him that she was happy to see him. He asked if she was feeling cold, then wrapped his coat around her, stroking her hair and tucking a strand behind her ear before holding her tightly. They sat in a playground. Yuki told him about her work and how she planned to save for their trips. He told her they could do things locally free and explore new places, since they had been spending a lot of time at his place. He then asked her to pick a place for them to visit. Yuki and Itsuomi rode the train to a place Yuki chose. When they arrived there, Yuki enjoyed taking photos of flowers and other things. Itsuomi asked her about her interest in photography, and she explained that she likes capturing images of flowers. They took a picture together on Yuki's phone and then sat on a bench under a large tree to eat. Itsuomi-san placed the food on the other side of the bench and leaned in close to Yuki, almost kissing her, but stopped. Yuki mentioned that public displays of affection were a bit much for her, but expressed that she wants to cuddle. Itsuomi reassured her that everything was okay with him when it comes to her. Itsuomi sent Yuki a long message, saying she should read it later at home, because they did not have time. They continued their walk, and Yuki snapped a photo of Itsuomi. Finally, they took the train together again to go back home. When she got home, Yuki started reading the text Itsuomi wrote for her. He explained how his life was when he moved to Germany with his parents at the age of 6. He told her how he had had trouble speaking German, which made him sad and wanting to go back to Japan at first, but he did not want to go, disappointing his dad. He was then sitting one day in a playground when a ball that other kids were playing with came his way. He gave it back to the kid, and when the kid turned away, Itsuomi asked him to wait and tried to speak German. And ever since that day, he started learning the language, not for school, but out of love. He told her he loves learning about culture and languages. He then sent her a picture he took of her, and he told her she was so occupied with taking pictures of flowers that she hadn't noticed. He told her that meeting her a few minutes during the day was special to him, and he wants to know all about being in her world because he loves everything about her. Overwhelmed, Yuki placed her face into her hands and started crying. And that is when she knew that she loved him too, and she wanted to be in Itsuomi-san's world as much as he wanted to be in hers.